Hey, welcome to the Live Full podcast, where we talk about all things faith, family, and living fully the life God wants for you. On today's episode, we're going to be doing something a little bit fun. I have my husband here with me once again. In our last season, we talked a little bit about dating, and most people seem to really enjoy it. I personally believe that our relationships actually truly affect the way that we live our lives or how we feel about our lives. I believe that God wants us to have good, successful, fulfilling relationships. Now, in case anyone thought that we had the most perfect dating life, that we did everything right from the beginning, let me assure you that we never did. And so today, we wanted to share some of our dating fails.
All right. And yeah, all the things that we did wrong so that no one else has to get them wrong again.
It's true, right? I mean, a lot of it is a bit of the trial and error kind of thing. And not in a flippant way, but you almost have to go through it in order to learn from it.
Yeah.
And here are some things that we did learn.
And as we were discussing this, I'm thankful that actually you have more to share than I do. So, our 5 dating fails.
Our 5 dating
And
fails.
see where this goes.
Well, I think there's a few things I'm definitely thinking about, right? When I was in secondary school,
Yep.
for some of you who are maybe not very familiar with that, that's I was about 14 years old basically.
You started young.
I started really young, and that's why this is a major dating fail. Do not do this. I started dating at the very young age of Sec 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it was completely embarrassing because I think I knew this guy from church, but I wasn't very saved at that time. I'm gonna be super honest about it. And I thought, wow, this guy's interested in me. So yes, let's jump into it. I want to do it. I can't believe. And if you remember, this was the age that I don't know if you seen photos of me where I would wear like these khaki cargo shorts.
Yep. It was a.
Sandals, like Diva sandals.
It was quite the phase.
And then maybe a Roxy like little, like sling handbag on the side.
Yep.
And I thought that was like the coolest thing ever, which obviously I was very confident about because when somebody decided to ask me out, I was like, yeah, I was so flattered by it. And I even remember that I decided to pick a specific date to start dating
Okay.
because I thought that this would be a very nice date to have your anniversary on.
Of course. A date that's easy to remember.
Not just easy to remember, I just like the number.
Significant.
Yeah, it was 7th of May, I think. And it was,
Wow.
yeah, it was very, I still remember it because I always thought that, wow, this date is so nice, So I'm going,
0705.
0705.
Could have been a significant day.
Could have been, could have been.
So what happened?
And I decided, okay, today is the day, was the day that I was
Yep.
going to start dating this guy.
At the ripe old age of 14.
I wasn't even
All
14
right.
at the time, I was 13. And I just decided, wow, such a great idea, But we never made it to an anniversary because 1 month later, I just couldn't stand a lot of the things that he was doing.
Yep.
And I think we probably met on the train like one time. We were texting a lot. We just met on the train like one time.
Yep.
And very awkward like encounter with each other. It's like, oh my gosh, that's like my boyfriend.
Yeah.
But not really because
Yep.
we really only texted.
Never really met. All right.
Never really met. And then a month later, we ended the relationship.
All right. And that was your first?
That was my very first.
Your first like official like
Yes,
relationship.
first official
But
stint.
sounds like quite a fail.
Absolute fail. So please learn from my mistake.
Yep.
And I think a few things I decided that I will not do again
Yeah.
after that was one, don't be so easily flattered
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah. I mean, like, not everyone who shows some interest in you needs to be the person you date.
exactly,
Right.
right? And I think sometimes we get so overwhelmed
Yeah.
by the feeling of, wow, I feel so loved. And I think that's basic
Yeah.
human need, right? We want to be loved. But it was just not the right time to do it.
Mm.
And because I thought, wow, so great. Finally a guy like took interest in me. I was in the girls' school too.
Yep.
And so I thought, wow, if this guy's interested, I better like hang on to this opportunity.
Yeah.
But that was, I think secondary school follies.
I mean, it's true. I think sometimes that, I don't know, that allure of like having someone take an interest in you or the prospect of like, oh my gosh, I could be in a relationship, especially you've been like waiting a long time for one. Or it's
True.
like the first time you've ever been in one, you're like, oh my gosh, like, let's do it. It's attractive, but not always the right time. Certainly not always the right person.
Yeah.
And I guess this is your it's probably set the record for the shortest relationship in a while, and it didn't work and it failed.
Yeah,
So I think
I picked.
some good lessons there.
I know exactly. I think I also ended it on 7 June.
Wow, so you,
So
that's great. 1 month made it to the
we made it to a month. I think
one
because
month
I just thought
anniversary.
at least we made it to a month,
Oh
but
my,
very, very silly mistake.
that is
But
silly.
anyway, I think that's something to learn from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, shall I go?
Yeah.
So this was, I think we're starting young, right? So we can kind of dismiss all of this to our youthful folly. I was, I think, around the same age. Obviously, we didn't know each other then. But if you're a millennial and you're listening to this, you would remember IRC.
I mean, I'm a millennial, but I
You don't
didn't
know it.
use
All
it.
right. If you're an older millennial, all right, the internet relay chat, and this was like the early days of chat rooms. And I remember there was some girl that I kind of was interested in. I knew who she was. Met once or twice at some like school things. But a lot of our interactions were just in this like internet chat, in
Mm.
this relay room.
Well, in my time would have been like MSN chat. Have you heard of that
MSN,
one?
ICQ, yep, all of those. Do you know
Yeah.
ICQ?
ICQ. I mean, I've heard of it. I've
Yeah,
heard of it.
okay.
I don't
All
think
right.
I've actually
Maybe
used
before
it.
your time,
Yeah.
MSN. But a lot of it was just like online and you're in these chat rooms and you would feel like you really got to know each other really well because of all the time that you spend in the chats. And I remember one night, I was at my parents' house at the time. I didn't have my own computer, of course. I was on my parents'
How old were
computer.
you?
Probably like 14, 15.
Oh, so about the
Kind of
same time?
around the time that you were getting into this like relationship. And I went and something came upon me, and I decided to text the girl in this chat, and I said, "I love you."
Oh my gosh.
I mean, this is embarrassing to say. Um, and I remember almost like at the time that I did that, I think my parents came home, and I was like, "Oh my god."
Close.
So I didn't close it, but I typed it because I wasn't sure like how she gonna respond,
I
and then I
see.
ran off. But obviously, I mean, it was just a silly thing. Like it never like made it. And thinking about it now, I'm like, wow, like what came upon me to do that kind of thing. But I think what it was this. I think when you communicate online, you say a lot of things that you might not say in person.
True.
You feel emboldened to communicate certain things that maybe are beyond what you can handle in the physical or in the when you're face to face with someone. And this is kind of a silly story. Obviously, like nothing came of that. This is the days of IRC, but I think like it remains true today.
Yeah.
Even with dating, because
Yep.
with how common texting or DMing and all of that is, I think you can go like pretty far. Just texting someone, say things that are emotional and
Yeah.
convey a certain like interest or
Yeah.
feeling that is beyond like what you might be prepared uh to go to in person.
Yeah. Well, this is the same even for regular relationships like friendships
Yeah,
or even in marriage, right? I
yeah,
mean, when you're afraid to say certain things or you feel like I can express all these emotions like on a text, but you might never say them face to face.
exactly.
And I mean, this is how scams happen,
Exactly. Yeah.
right?
I mean that exactly is how scams happen. It's
Because
like you found
they
some
talk.
lover online or something, and
Yeah.
always just texting online. It's not bad. I mean, this is how we communicate nowadays. People will text, and I mean, how we started kind of I DM'd you on Twitter, but at some point you gotta like, well, if it's serious, hey, like, does that match with your kind of in person or your relationship in reality?
Yeah.
You have other people that you can you can relate with. If not, it's kind of a underdeveloped like relationship lah. And you might say things that like, yeah, I just think about it now, like how silly was I? Just to say like loosely like I love you when obviously that didn't. I mean, I remember the first time I told you I loved you. We'd been dating for like I don't know, a few months already.
Yeah.
And it was in person and I told you and there was just that weight like to it. So that was definitely like a dating fail. I mean, I don't think it ever made it to the dating phase. But like definitely a fail and something I learned from and just moved on from.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
maybe it's a almost like a reflection of your maturity too. Like,
Oh
are
yeah.
you willing to? Because some people ask, are you ready to be in a relationship? But
Yeah.
if you're not even ready to have these conversations face to face,
Yeah.
or you're not bold enough to have these conversations in person,
Yeah.
then maybe you're not ready.
I mean 100% was not ready lah. I was 14, 15, so I was like this was I would never even have had the opportunity to properly meet this person and like go out.
True.
But it's more like yeah, communicate however you will, whatever platforms, all that, but like at some point if it's going to be serious, hey, make sure it's matched with that, hey, let me meet you and figure out and and move a relationship forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
great.
So that's my fail. I think we should move beyond our teenage years, and maybe to something else.
Okay, yeah. Actually I thought about just even the way that you dress. Now, I wouldn't say that this was a fail, but I just fondly remember this story and I was very impressed with you. This was during like when we were dating.
Mm.
And this has to do with like physical boundaries. And I remember that I had this shirt and it was a very like okay shirt. Okay. So I if you guys knew me before, like you would know that I don't have anything too um controversial in my cupboard.
Yes, you're conservative.
I'm pretty conservative.
Yes.
And so I remember there was this shirt that I had was like maybe a 3/4 sleeve
Yep.
shirt. I mean, it was not anything revealing or low cut or anything.
Yeah.
It was just a regular like top. And I remember one day after you dropped me home, you told me, say, hey, like, can you I just want to talk to you about something, and
Yep.
I thought, "Oh, okay, yeah, what? We love talking, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
talk, 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 talk,
Mm-hmm.
talk. And then you said, there's this particular shirt that you have. Is it okay if you don't wear it anymore?
Yeah. Not because it's ugly, right? I mean,
I was like, what?
yeah.
Because I'm like, it's a normal looking shirt to me,
Yeah.
you know? But it almost like spoke to me about your own boundaries
Yep.
and the way that you knew like where it was too much for you and you could communicate that to me.
Yeah.
You could tell me those things in a mature way
Yep.
and without making me feel like lousy too, but also like protecting yourself, almost like guarding yourself.
Yeah.
And so I think about it in the context of like the way we dress when we date sometimes.
Yep.
Um, maybe you feel because the way we dress actually also signals something,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it is important like for us to be almost careful about that. What was that funny story that you wanted to share? Because yeah.
You told me the story
Oh,
actually.
true.
You had a friend who was like, I don't know, maybe a school friend or something, and he was like super like conservative about this kind of things, and girls would wear these things called spaghetti straps, right?
Yeah,
Which are
correct.
totally fine. I mean, hot weather, just wear something casual. And he would tell you guys this. He'd be like, "Hey, girls, like spaghetti belongs on a plate, not on your shirt." I don't even remember this story actually, that you told me. But as you mentioned it, I'm like, oh yeah, maybe there was. I don't know what it was about that thing that you wore, but like it definitely stirred something up in me that wasn't ready to be stirred up,
Yeah.
and so I told you that.
No, but I think that's important, right? One of the big, like, major dating fails is if you cross a physical
Oh
boundary
yeah,
and you don't want to get to that point.
true.
You want to protect yourself, you want to maintain yourself,
Yeah,
right? Till after you're married. And
yeah,
so it is an important, I think, pitfall to avoid,
yep.
especially in dating, because maybe, no one has asked you about it. Like, hey, where are you guys like physically?
Mm-hmm.
I remember even when we counsel different people,
Yep.
that's a question we would ask them directly, right? And we would say, hey, like, how are you guys doing like physically, right?
Yeah.
And we don't want you to reach a point where you're physically intimate
Yep.
and you regret
Yep.
actually. And so, because it doesn't just happen, you don't fall into it,
Yeah.
there are like things that you can do to avoid getting to that point,
Yep.
right? And I remember even when we were dating, we would lay out almost like clear boundaries
Yep.
and we would say, okay, these are the things that we don't do,
Mm-hmm.
and so that we can avoid,
Yeah.
I think, a situation where we might fail or we might fall.
Yeah. So close shave. Never saw that shirt again.
No, I think I threw it away.
It's kept forever.
I was like, wow, okay, this guy, right? Okay, I'm throwing it
My
down the chute.
my condolences to that shirt. But anyway, that was good. Okay, so number 4, right? I think this is my fail, and this one's a little bit more serious and more recent. I think before we got together, I was actually seeing someone else. I was overseas at the time. I was about to graduate and come back, and I had realized just before coming back, I think this is not going to work. There were different things, and so I ended it. But we had both come back to Singapore at the same time. And it was a moment of transition for me. I think there were still lingering things about that past relationship of like, man, maybe it could work.
Yeah.
Now that we're in a different season. And we got back into the relationship, and I came back to Singapore. But very quickly, I realized, man, those same issues that we had experienced before were still there.
Mm.
It lasted a little longer than a month than your relationship. Uh, yeah, but basically we ended it again. And as I look back now, I was like, man, that was a fail. That
Mm.
was totally unnecessary. I think like to go back into that, um, more heartache and drama and things that I really didn't have to go through again after having gone through it when we were overseas. And my big learning from that was, I think there were a couple of things. One, just be very careful about the decisions that you make in transition.
Yeah.
Transition's probably not the best time uh, to get into a relationship.
Yeah.
And I think what I was experiencing at the time was like, man, transition, a lot of my friendships were different. I was in a different country,
Yeah.
obviously. I was starting work and all of that. And this was something to hold on to,
Mm.
from a previous season. But looking back, I was like, man, nothing about why it didn't work before had changed. Even though my country had changed, my setting had changed, all of those things were principles I should have just held to,
Yeah.
and not gone back like into that. I think that was one big one. Like, don't make a decision in transitions, and I think there was just something there about having wisdom.
Yeah.
Sometimes our emotions are like, oh my gosh, maybe it could work. Oh my gosh, maybe like we can try again. Oh
Mm.
my gosh, maybe something's going to be different. But I think there was wisdom in the decisions that I made before that I should have just stuck to. And it wasn't disastrous, but it was just like a decision that I wish I had made a little differently.
Mm.
And stuck to it and just not gone back into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think being sensitive also to maybe what God says, about it.
Yeah.
I feel like in relationships, because there is so much emotion and feelings involved, sometimes that clouds our judgment.
Oh yeah.
It clouds the way that we make our decisions, right? Not just about transition, which I agree. I think you should never make major life decisions during transition periods, right? Because you might end up with a decision that you might regret.
Yeah.
And so you want a bit more perspective, right? You want to be able to like have a bit of hindsight.
Hmm.
But at the same time, actually, are we sensitive to what God is saying about the relationship? You know, I think about a time too that I was very hopeful about our relationship,
Mm.
also just before you, I think. And we never ever dated, but it was as if we were already.
Hmm.
And I remember thinking and holding on to it for a long time. Also because I just thought I will never find somebody like that again.
Yeah.
And almost maybe a bit of fear that
Yep.
kind of drove it too in that
Mm.
decision making, because I thought I don't think I'll ever find a relationship like this again, and so I better hang on to it, make it work,
Yep.
you know. And maybe it's a past shared memory, and I mean, because in relationships there are good memories, right,
Yep.
that you form. I mean, there's hard ones too, but of course there's good memories, and you remember those things, and you kind of want to hang on to those things,
Yeah.
the good things about it.
Yeah.
And so, but because of that, it clouds a lot of your judgment, and so you don't make the right decisions.
Yeah.
You don't make the right, or you don't have the right perspective, I think.
Mm.
When you're supposed to end it, you don't.
Yeah.
When you're supposed to call it,
Yep.
you don't.
Yep. Exactly.
When you should, when you really, really should,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I have one more story,
Okay,
okay?
go for it.
And
Yep.
this is probably my fifth and last thing, but and if you have anything else to add, please go ahead and do
I
it.
don't have that many fails. I mean, if you have more, please go ahead.
Well, I'm very human, and so I failed many times, okay? And this one is happened when I was in JC. So this was, yeah, maybe when I was 16, 17 years old, a little bit older, was supposed to be a bit wiser.
Hmm.
But when feelings take over, it's a whole other story. And I was a leader at that time in my church, and still I made this bad decision. Again, I think I was a little bit too flattered by the attention,
Mm.
right? And so I thought, hey, like, yeah, I mean, this guy is interested, and he was like, from another class, and I mean, he had a good like reputation in the school
Hmm.
too,
Hmm.
right? And so I was flattered, I think, by the attention, and decided, yeah, let me like find out a bit more, about this relationship. And so I actually got into a relationship with a non-Christian.
Mm.
And this is like, I think, the biggest
Yep.
like dating fail to me
Yeah.
was that I allowed myself to make a decision like that.
Right.
And I think what happened as a result of that was I became very secretive about it,
Hmm.
right? Because I'm technically not supposed to date a non-Christian. So
Yep.
I'm not saying anything to my parents. My friends all kind of knew. I mean, we were even like holding hands and all that, but I would never say. I even met his family.
That's crazy.
Would
Okay.
hang out with them on weekends, right? Like I remember this, like Chinese New Year. I mean, all those things. But I would never say that I'm in a relationship,
Right.
not even once.
Mm-hmm.
And because there was at the back of my mind, I think I knew it was wrong, but I just could never I could never, put myself in a position where I could end it, you
Yeah.
know? And I think it's kind of similar to what you're saying too. But in this case, I think just being clear about your principles and your values,
Yeah.
right? And sticking to them
Yeah.
almost. I remember when it did end and when I finally called it quits and I was like, I
Mm.
can't do this anymore because
Mm.
I just felt like God kept telling me, like, this is not right.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be in this relationship.
Mm.
You shouldn't be with someone who doesn't know me, You shouldn't try and, like, convert this person, right?
Mm.
Um, and I remember when I finally decided to do that, it wasn't just the ending of, like, a title or a relationship. Your emotional ties were like broken, right? And it was the most devastating thing. I remember crying like
Wow.
crazy for so many days after that.
Mm.
But if I had listened at the beginning
Yeah.
and it was just, okay, God, I know that this is wrong,
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done it, I would have saved myself from all this heartache.
Oh yeah.
And I wished that I never made that mistake. I wished I listened to my leaders. I wish that I listened to myself. I wish I listened to God
It's true.
and actually obeyed the first time. All right. And then I could have saved myself from all this heartache. So that's kind of my fail, I think.
Right.
One of my biggest fails. But to be honest, God is so redemptive and
Yeah.
He restores. It was because of that incident I almost like came back to God again in obedience.
Yeah.
And that was that turning point for me to say, I never want to disobey again. And I always want to be found in your will, God,
Yeah.
because I know what it was like to be out of it.
Yeah.
So it became a beautiful story.
No, I mean, that's great. And I think, and I think that's the encouragement. I just felt this as you were sharing that story. I
Yeah.
mean, we've all made mistakes and we'll laugh about it and we'll, recover from it. But God does redeem.
Yeah.
We obviously our hope is that we just don't make those mistakes. But when we do, and maybe you're listening out there today and you have made a mistake,
Yeah.
I just want to say it's okay. Learn from that, make the right decisions. And I believe God has a good plan for all of us in relationship. Look at us now,
Yeah.
right? If you would just say, hey, God, I want to follow your ways, God, I want to follow your plan. I don't want to live in secrecy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want, my decisions to be open to my leaders, my community, people who look out for me and have the best for me. You know, I think, God's plan is that He would bless us with good relationship.
Yeah.
His will is that, we find spouses and, get married and, enjoy family, and that's His plan. And I think He will redeem, He will lead us. And I think that's His heart.
Yeah. And that's my favorite part about our story, I think,
It
is
is.
that we've made mistakes, but, because we've learned from them and because God is so gracious to
Yeah.
still keep teaching us and still keep guiding us in the right path, that, hey, we can make a good decision. God redeems our story, even our dating fails,
Yeah.
even the things that we do wrongly and we're so embarrassed about, right?
Yeah.
And I am embarrassed about some of these stories, but I hope it helps somebody.
I hope someone listening is encouraged.
Yeah, I think about this song that since we're having a bit of fun today, this song by Rascal Flatts. Did you know this song?
Uh-huh.
God bless this broken road.
I know it.
And I used to always think, I mean, this is the emotional part of me. I was like, oh God, like I would have walked down the aisle on this song too. But it's about how, how do you sing that song? Every long lost
Dream
Dream, led me to
where
where
you
you
are.
are. Others who broke my heart,
They
they
were
were
like
like
northern
northern
stars
stars, pointing me or guiding me
on
on
my
my way
way
into
into
your
your loving
loving arms.
arms.
This much I know is true.
That
That God
God bless
bless the
the
broken
broken
road
road
that
that
led
led
me
me
straight
straight
to
to
you.
you.
Yay!
All right. Wow, that's your first performance on the podcast.
Wow, wow, yes, indeed. But yeah, that was, I think, kind of, you used to always, I always felt like that kind of captured a bit about how I felt about relationships too. Because, yeah, you might make the mistakes, but hey, God is a redeemer. And I think as we obey Him, we listen to Him and hear His voice,
Yeah,
and be in community, right? And we talked about this the last time too, to have people who can come around you and encourage you, point you in the right direction. Then, what's the best part about it? I think my favorite thing at the end of it was that our relationship was celebrated. It was
good.
in the open.
Yeah,
People could see it. People could even follow after it, but it was in the open. It was for everyone to see, and people celebrated with us.
yeah,
And that was probably my favorite thing about it at
it's
the
great.
end of it.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
Well, thank you again for sharing all these
It was fun.
stories.
I
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Well, and thank you for listening to this episode. I hope this conversation has helped you to live full.